Hey everybody, it's your girl Evelyn and welcome back to my channel. We are back for another installment of a live girl chat with Patricia, aka Guys Design, here on YouTube. Listen, we have been doing this for over 4 months, so if you don't know who she is, I don't know where you have been. I don't know what you have been doing with your life. You obviously haven't been outside. Um, but if you're new or this is your first time catching us live, or if you're watching the replay, Patricia is a nurse. She is a professor, a YouTuber. She is a wife, a sister, a friend. My friend, we met on the internet. And make sure you subscribe to her channel, which is Guys Design, here on YouTube. And she also can be found on Instagram under the same handle. Now, listen, we promised from our last live session, there was a question that came through about how to create healthy habits. And so I wanted to make sure that we just said we're just going to do a whole topic on that. And let me see where the comments at, because I can't see. Listen, y'all, we here, y'all. Listen, okay. We already got so many comments. Okay, we're gonna get to that in a second. So, welcome, ladies. We're glad that y'all are here. If y'all have not shared this broadcast with your homegirl, your sister, your cousin, your mama, whoever you know needs to cultivate some healthy habits, please make sure that you do that. So, Patricia, what's up? Say hi to the peeps while I go through these comments.
Hey. I was about to drop a comment here. Hey, y'all. It's so good to be back here again. Like Evelyn said, we've been doing this for 4 months and it's been a blessing to me, really. And I pray that it has been to you guys as well. I'm excited about today's topic and I'm glad you guys are showing up already. So I'm looking forward to today.
Yeah, so what happened was we got a question, and if y'all don't know, on Instagram, sometimes the day before we'll ask you, what do you want to talk about, or if you guys have any questions, whether it's relative for what we're talking about for the day or not, or something we've done before, and we always take your questions from the live chat. But we got a question that was like, hey, how do you create healthy habits? And I was like, this is so perfect, I think, for Patricia and I, because she talks about designing your life. I talk about curating your life, and which is how we kind of came together to talk about this. So I think habits is a huge part of that. Um, I think you can have, I think every area of your life has habits, whether you put them there or not. So I think we can kind of get into good habits, bad habits. What is the habit? What's not? How do you form good habits? Patricia, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that I think a lot of people feel like sort of habits are things that are out of their control,
Mhm.
and but they totally are. You have the capability to do anything is that you want to set your mind to. And what do they say? It takes like what 21 days, 30 days to form a habit. And so if you can do something consistently for that long, there you go. You have a new habit. How I like to look at it, I kind of like to look at it several angles, but one of the ways that I like to look at it is sort of look at whatever like the overall goal is, and then sort of backtrack from there, and what are the daily things that I can do on a consistent basis, or weekly things that I can do on a consistent basis that can get me towards this goal, you know? And I think that's one way to look at it. The other way of looking at it is, what are the things that you want to implement in your life? Things that you want to see yourself doing. And then start doing it. Get yourself on a schedule. I know everyone talks a lot about, creating a system, getting yourself on a schedule, creating a system for yourself that you can operate within that system, so that before you know it, that new habit or that new thing is a part of your life.
Mhm. No, I totally agree. I read the book earlier this year, Atomic Habits, because I'm really into like personal growth and development, and it was so good because he basically goes through the book and basically teaches you how to cultivate a habit that will stick, right? Because a lot of times we try to start a habit or we try to start a new thing, and then a weekend we're off, or we did it for 2 weeks and we're off. We did it for 3 days, and then it just went by the wayside. And so the book comes almost from like a scientific perspective, on how to kind of basically trick your mind into make sure you do these habits consistently. And listen, before we listen, because we could talk, because I talk about systems. Let me get into these comments first. So hey, BB is here. She said, Evelyn, I enjoyed your last black owned beauty haul and want to know if handmade jewelry, mask, and aromatherapy would qualify. Spoon and Theory handmade. Please let me know. Am I missing something? Oh, if handmade jewelry, mask, aromatherapy will qualify. Yeah, I mean, black owned is black owned. I recently just bought some non makeup black owned things that I'm going to be doing in a haul coming up soon. So like anything that I am trying to purchase right now, I want a large percentage of that to be black owned. So I'm glad you enjoyed the video. So anything that I was already on my list to buy, I'm kind of doing a sweep first to see if I can get it from a black owned brand, and then if I can't find what I need, then I go on to something else. So Caribbean Curls is here, SJ is here, Rashida is here. Caribbean Curl says, "You both look beautiful." That's so sweet.
Thank you.
With Patricia, look at this face, y'all. Listen, I be trying to get Patricia to give me makeup and hair lessons, but she won't do it. Okay,
You don't need it. You don't need it.
like y'all, we be getting on before the thing, and I be like, oh, so we red lipping today. I didn't get the memo about the red. We doing red lips. Okay, listen. Chanel is here and G Angel is here. Hey, the gang is all here. So habits. Okay. I want to talk about this. Patricia mentioned this, right? Like I do talk a lot about creating a system. And Patricia said it best is I think habits are hard to cultivate if there's no end goal in mind, right? Like if there's no destination. And I say that hesitantly because usually if you have an end goal, it's kind of like you need to set the end goal, but then you almost need to forget about it and then fall in love with the process, aka the habit. So for example, I mean, I think like let's say weight loss. If somebody's on a weight loss journey, they may say, okay, I want to lose 50 pounds. If their focus is just on losing 50 pounds, it's not going to help them get there. But once they say, okay, here's the habits or here's the system I want to put in place. I want to walk, twice a day. I want to drink a gallon of water a day, whatever the things are, that's their strategy, aka to get to that goal. But then it's like, what's the habit? Like, well, when are you going to walk? And what's the cue? And what's going to remind you to walk? And, are you tracking it? So I think the key to cultivating healthy habits. Can I talk today, Evelyn, or no? Is you have to know what are you trying to do, because otherwise you're just going to get on this hamster wheel of doing things that you feel like you're supposed to do and not knowing why you're doing them. Patricia, your thoughts? You're just nodding your head.
I'm what?
Oh, I was like, what are you?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I'm nodding.
oh, okay. I'm trying to get rid of people in the chat, and I can't do it from here. So,
Uh-huh.
see, they're getting me distracted. So yeah, I mean, I do you think people overcomplicate habits?
I do. I think several things happen. I think people overcomplicate. I think people literally overwhelm themselves. Um, yes, you may have 50 million goals. And
Uh-oh. Not again. Oh Lord. This happened last time, y'all. Hello? Patricia?
yeah,
Okay, you're back. Girl, listen, we're not doing it this time. I don't know what is going on with the internet in Texas.
you know what's funny is I can see you the whole time. I can see you and hear you the whole time. But I guess for whatever reason you can't hear me.
Oh Lord. Is it my raggedy self? It might be.
Are we good?
I think we're good. Lord. Okay. So, SJ was like, yes, no, again. um, so you were saying, and it cut off for me. I don't know if it cut off for y'all. You were just basically saying people overwhelm themselves. They've got 50 million goals, and then that's the last I heard.
Yes. Yes, they got 50 million systems in place, and it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. Focus on three. Focus on the top three that you want to change, things that you want to do right now, and then implement those systems rather than overwhelming yourself. So, in that way, yes, overcomplicating it, and you're compromising your success because you're overwhelming yourself. You know what I mean? And then also, really simplifying it and giving yourself tangible, like honestly, if you never wear makeup and your goal is to become more put together when you leave the house, you can't say, oh, I'm gonna beat my face to the gods every single. That's not realistic. That's not realistic for you. You want a little Glossier, you want a little CoverGirl, whatever, a little something something with eyelashes and lipstick and a little blush. That is tangible, and do that for the next 21, 30 days or whatever it is, and implement that in your life. So really, the two things I feel is people aren't doing things that are tangible for them, or they're just, it's overwhelming for them. One step at a time. If you want to get to the point where you're doing, eyelashes every day, I'm just using that as an example. Eyelashes every day. I'm not saying that that's necessary. Then work your way up to that. You know what I'm saying? Start with the mascara and then you'll get there. But, that's what I mean. That's what I think is people put too much on themselves, and they implement too many systems at one time. If you want to lose the weight, fasting for 30 days, that's not, let's start with eliminating carbonated beverages, or drinking your daily recommended of water every single day. Start little and then build from there.
No, I agree. And I think I saw a quote that I think sums up what you said perfectly, which is people always go for intensity over consistency. So
Mm.
let me have 57 goals. Let me say that I'm going to do 27 things every day, but I'm going to do it in 30 days versus going, I'm going to do these three things towards these three goals every day for the next year, right? And so people are wanting, they want, I think the reason why they're doing too many goals at once, and I think the reason why they're going extreme, and that's why the habits don't stick, is because they don't want to fall in love with the process. And I know that that phrase is very cliche, like, you got to fall in love with the process, you got to fall in love with the process, but it's really true, and so, like you said, being like, I'm just gonna go on a fast for 30 days, it's like, or why don't you just eat 30% less? I mean, like, just like pick something that's sustainable. And I think, to your point, they're not picking things that are tangible and trackable. Like, you can't say my new habit is I'm going to eat healthier.
Right.
What does that mean? You have to be specific. It's kind of like, I mean, and you've probably seen this when people talk about SMART goals, like, it has to be specific, it has to be measurable. Did you drink 100 ounces today? Yes or no of water? Not just I'm gonna drink more water. How much? I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna walk every day. What time and how long did you do that? Right. Um, but I think also people are. I think what I would add to what you said about that level of intensity is I think people are also just randomly pulling things out of the sky that they feel like they should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this Instagram account said I should be waking up at 5 a.m. And this Instagram account said that I should be running 10 miles a day. And this person said that I should be doing this. And it's like, girl, who's driving the car? You know what I mean? And so it's, and like I tell my clients all the time, whether it's in business or life, you cannot look at somebody else's life and be like, I should be doing what they're doing, because you don't know where they're trying to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, now, if you're trying to go in the same direction, maybe, but you don't know why they get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I mean, do it if you want to, but it's not going to stick if you don't have your own reasons for wanting to do that. So, let's see. Oh, Rashida's here. She says, I just had this conversation with my nutrition coach about 3 hours ago. Small changes can have lasting effects. I need to stop trying to change all the things at once.
And G Angel said something that I was literally just about to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think it also has to do with the fact that people want really quick results.
That's why they do the intensity.
Am able to put the least amount of effort for the greatest amount of result, that's what I want to do.
Mhm.
And so I rather juice for 30 days and that be the only thing I eat and starve and suffer for them 30 days rather than overhauling my eating habits and my diet and slowly making those changes over a year. Because it's going to take a year maybe or even more to see the results of that. But going on a 30-day juice cleanse and I drop 20 pounds like that, and I can do my before and after on Instagram, and I'm good, and I feel good about myself, right? It's sort of that instant. I agree with you too, but I also feel like another part of it also is people just want them quick results.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why they want to do the intensity, right? Like let's you know me, I'm a chef. Let's take it to food, right? Everybody knows that if you reheat pizza in the oven, it tastes way better than reheating it in the microwave, right? But I can reheat it in the microwave in 60 seconds. It's going to take me maybe 8 to 10 minutes in the oven. So I'm going to sacrifice the quality of something that could be very delicious because I can't wait them seven extra minutes, right? I'm gonna start myself, like you said, for 30 days because I can't just say, you know what, when 7 o'clock comes at night, I'm done eating. You know what I mean? Or whatever
Hmm.
the choice is. So I think you're right. I think people want quick results, and I think they want quick results because they also don't want the discipline of self denial.
We've talked about that one too.
They don't want the discipline of self denial.
Hmm.
Let me just be uncomfortable for a little while. Because if I got to do a little discomfort every day, well, I don't want to do that. Well, then you don't. I saw who came with the quote. This is not my quote. They were like, "Don't be mad at the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do."
Mm. Ouch.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Caribbean Crow says, Evelyn, I love your nuggets of knowledge, consistency over intensity. Listen, I wish that was my own original thought. But listen, I got it from somewhere. Somebody on social media posted it a while ago, and it kind of it got me too. I was like, oh, so they were like, oh, you want to write 100 pages a day for your book versus writing a page a day for a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, just it's that muscle of discipline. Let me just do this every day. This little thing, and you wouldn't need to go crazy. They want fast results. They want the least amount of effort, and they don't want the discipline of self denial.
Let me tell you, discipline is not for the faint of heart. And we've talked about this whole avoiding effort thing. And it's funny because it's one of the reoccurring themes in a lot of these. And it's funny how a lot of it has that avoiding effort has showed up in so many different topics that we touched on here. And you can't live a life like that. Discipline to me in many ways is one of the keys that'll get you to where you want to be. You have to have the discipline to implement these little steps that together move you forward and get you to your goal, because today you're able to have the intensity to throw into a 30-day cleanse, but then what happens after that?
Right.
You gain the 20 pounds back, and then January 1st next year, here we go, 30 days, juice cleanse, where y'all at? I'm in the gym every day. And I don't want to nitpick on weight. And it's just that I feel like a lot of us
Can relate.
deal with that and work with that um, and go through that. But, we can have success if we have tangible, like you said, goals, that we have attainable goals, and that we don't overwhelm ourselves with all the things. Another thing that we've talked about in another live that I kind of want to add here is also understanding yourself and moving with that. Know your lifestyle. If you got 30 children, it may not be possible to do some things that compared to someone who has no children that does. There's some girl that I watch on YouTube. She consistently uploads, but when you watch her videos, the sun is not up. Like
Oh,
it, it is dumb early in the morning, but she has 3 kids and she's like, I need to wake up early before they get up so I can record these videos and get these videos out. And so she's working with what works for her and her lifestyle. And so just like, Evelyn mentioned earlier, you see these people waking up at 5 a.m. You don't know why.
Mhm.
They would be waking up a little later if they could, or if their lifestyle was different. You know what I mean? But here you are, just implementing a booklet, or that someone else has catered and wrote for their own life,
Right.
as opposed to really understanding your own and seeing what works best for you and how can you flow with that. I've used this example before. I've realized that I don't like the gym. Like, I don't like it. The idea of standing on a treadmill and walking for that long, or running for that long, and I haven't gone anywhere, is just not
To me.
it's not for me. I rather a dance class. I rather walking outside. I rather bike riding. These are the things that I do to keep active, and I understand that about myself. So I work with that. I work with what naturally flows for me. Therefore, I can be more consistent, and I'm sort of setting myself up to be more consistent
Mhm.
rather than forcing myself to do something that's terribly unnatural to me, that where I can make the same investment, that is burning calories,
Right.
that'll get me to my goal, but I'm working with what's natural to me. You know what I mean?
Mhm. No, I 100% agree because I think that sometimes we believe that things have to be, and I've talked about this before, hard. And it's not that they have to be hard, it's that sometimes they can be uncomfortable. And there's a difference. Sometimes
Yeah.
they can be inconvenient. And y'all, here's another quote that I saw, and I wish I could remember these people's name, but just know these are not Evelyn originals, okay? She was talking about, like, I was in this challenge about like doing social media consistently, maybe a couple months ago. And this girl was talking about how, like, she hadn't got her post up for the day, so she was up late, and she was like, the discomfort was only inconvenient to her, but it wasn't inconvenient to her goals.
Mm.
And I was like, run that back. I mean, like, she was like, this is only inconvenient to my comfort, but it's not inconvenient to my goals. And it's like something is going to be inconvenienced, right? You know,
Mhm.
um, I mean, I think it, like, if you use, I mean, I'm going to use the weight example, right? But it's kind of like, if you're tired of yourself being unhealthy, you're either going to be tired of being unhealthy, or you're going to be tired from working out, but you get to pick. You know what I mean? You can't have it both ways, and it's interesting because there was this YouTuber that I used to follow, and and this is no judgment, but she participates in a lot of cosmetic treatments. And so and I remember thinking, I was like, some of that is just time and patience, like that she probably could get the goal that she desires, but she has chosen a faster, more intense approach to get a desired result. Like, she was getting a certain facial treatment, and I was thinking, all you got to do is, like, not sleep in your makeup, and you'll get to that same destination. You know what I mean? It's not like she had like a special skin condition or whatever. And so here's the thing: it's no judgment. It's just about your choice, right? So if like, it has to be fast, it has to be quick, is your preferred method, then there's options for that in different areas of life, but there's consequences to that. Just like if you decide to go the habit route, like, it's going to, the consequences of that is it may take longer, but it may be lasting longer. If we take it out of weight, think about relationships. People want to be like, they want to do something deep and intensive, and it's like, or you could just learn to hold your tongue when you're upset and give yourself 5 minutes and just practice that consistently. You could just, you know what I mean? Like, there's it's that self denial of, I want what I want and I want it now.
Ooh, can we talk a little bit about the, the character ones? Because I think that some people really live in the place of, this is just the way that I am, and if that's what you think, that's the way you always gonna be. And the truth of the matter is, we have a lot more control than we do. Because you kind of said something that was just very triggering for me, because I've heard it so much and just dealing with people that I know that I've come across, and this idea of, you know, when I get mad, I just go off. I was like, do you?
And how's that working for you? I mean, if it's working for you, then keep doing it. But if it ain't working,
Doing it. But if it's not, then you might want to implement some things
hmm,
that's gonna help you. Truth be told, that person might have a natural reaction to do that, right? But that still is in your hands. We're not primitive beings, you know what I mean? We have a choice ultimately and always. And though you may lean one way, you have the ability to yank yourself the other way. And so if listen, if you find yourself in that place, then you need to have a strategy. When I feel like I want to let this person have it, I'm gonna take a deep breath.
hmm,
I'm gonna think before I say. I'm gonna ask for a timeout.
hmm,
Whatever it is, and then follow that strategy and walk away. But what happens is what you're addicted to is
hmm,
that feeling of letting them have it in that moment, and it's only temporary. It's temporary, and you don't want to be able to tell yourself no, no.
right? So
It does take strength. It's self denial. And there it shows up again too. So, when people are like, this is just the way that I am, it's triggering for me. Like, this is your choice.
yeah, you're choosing to be this way.
You're choosing to this, but I get it. Things happen, whether it's their upbringing, traumatic event, or just things that have happened in your life. Yes, I totally understand that. And some of us, truth be told, may have a lot more that we're working against, right? But at the end of the day, you still have a choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so, recently a friend of mine, she, we were having a conversation, and she said something she wasn't supposed to say. And she said to me, this is what I said. I was like, well, why would you say that? Like, why? What would possess you? That's literally what I said. I said, what would possess you to say that? And she was like, well, she said this. I said, no, no, we weren't talking about her. I'm still talking about you.
Mhm.
What? Well, she provoked. I was like, no, no, no. We're still talking about you. You still had a choice.
Yep.
And you made a choice to call someone else an ugly thing.
Mhm.
And that says more about you than it says about them.
Yeah, when you're poked or you're squeezed, what's in you is what will come out.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the, I learn this. Listen, I always love wise counsel and having people older than me and wiser than me in my life. And I remember the first time I don't remember the first time, but I remember that phrase when I heard, like, you don't have to accept like, you don't have to walk into every argument that you're invited into, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I don't like keyboard thug with people in the comments. And I have a good friend um, who is substantially younger than me, right? And when we first met, I mean, she would just be going back and forth with people in the comments, going back and forth with people in the comments. And I'd be like, I said, here's the thing. I don't know any time on planet Earth where somebody was like, I successfully changed somebody's mind by going back and forth with them in the comment section. I said, part of that is you feel like self denial is silencing yourself. You still have your opinion. You just need to know when you don't need to argue with a fool. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when I say a fool, is somebody who's not open to the dialogue. Not that their position on whatever topic is foolish, but it's just like you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. But part of that is self denial, and I think the reason why, when it comes to habits, people use working out so much as an example is because once you can learn to deny yourself physically, you start to develop the muscle to be able to deny yourself in other ways, right? So whether you fasting is a way to do that, you learn to deny yourself food, which is a healthy craving. It helps you work on that self denial, right? Like I'll give you an example. I'm a talker. We know this. This is why we do these things, right? I talk fast. Patricia can tell you I have a really bad habit. If I'm too excited, I will talk over people. I will cut them off in the middle of their sentence because some came to my mind and be like, oh, girl, let me say. Right. And I have to consistently be like, let them finish. Some people don't talk as fast as you. Some people need a pause. Some people actually breathe between their sentences, Evelyn. Maybe you should, right? And so let me give y'all an example. A lot of times when Patricia is talking on here, you hear me go, because that is the mechanism that I have decided to use to not cut people off because it's a bad habit, right? Like, girl, you don't have to always be flipping and running. But here's the thing, have I mastered it yet? No, but I also don't need to go on a 30-day silent retreat to learn how to stop cutting people off. I could just, every time, let people finish their thought. Listen. And don't listen to respond, listen to listen.
Mhm.
It's a habit that I'm trying to undo by creating a new habit, but it's that day to day. And if I forget a thought, so what? You know, like, what's going to happen? Um, oh, we got some comments here. G Angel says it's not safe. It causes a lot of stress. I don't want this life anymore. Wait, what, did we miss something? Did we miss something before from her, Patricia? Oh. So I'm gonna add this to the broadcast, but I'm gonna let Patricia take this one. Hey, she said, "Hey y'all, VP pick was just announced as Kamala Harris. Do you guys have any thoughts on that presidential election in general?"
Um,
Let me give you
so
my answer. I'm gonna give you my. I did cut you. Let me give you my. I have no thoughts at this moment, and that's honest. I have no thoughts at this moment.
here's the thing. I'll tell you all this. Evelyn and I both really avoid politics on our platforms. So I don't think today's about to be the day that we really get into it. But I will say this, you guys, what 2020 has taught me, it's taught me a lot. And what I think we all should be doing right now is really getting, if you are up in the clouds, just get educated as to what's going on, and stay prayed up, drink your water, you know. I just, and mind your business. That's really what I think. That's what I really think, because one thing I can say is it's so easy to get consumed into what's happening right now. And I got to a point where I had to take a step back and, like, okay, I need some self care and preservation of my state of mind, because there is a lot of foolery out there. I will say this. I will say this. Um, I feel like this year is going to be a difficult year. And I think the next election or the next presidency is going to be a difficult one. Either way we go, I'll say that. That's not to say not to exercise your rights, because please do that. But I'm just of the mindset it's going to be difficult either way we go.
Yep.
And so, like I said, drink your water, exercise your rights, mind your business, focus on your peace, focus on instilling good habits in your life to get you towards your goal. And that's that's literally what I think. I think, yeah,
Yeah.
that's all.
I 100% co-sign, and I have always had the belief that to a high extent you create your own reality and your own economy. And for those of you who happen to be believers, we have a system that's even higher than this system. So that's where I focus my energy, but still exercise your rights. Okay, amen. Stop.
One more thing. Can I just say one more thing?
Mhm.
I do have to say this, is for the first time, I think, at least in my the first time in my adult life, I actually have a emergency escape plan. I will say so. Look into it. There are other options other than here, and if you will thrive, especially for those of you guys who are entrepreneurs, if you feel like you will thrive elsewhere, and you can pick up and be elsewhere,
Consider it.
start start looking. Just start shopping around and put your 2 or 3 coins away on the side just in case you have to just peace out for a little bit, and come back or not. So that's what I think.
I concur. I agree. Amen. So let's see here. So Japiria says, "Me too, Evelyn. I literally have to tell myself to give people a chance to finish their thought and allow some room for quiet space in the conversation." And let me tell you what helps with this. This may not be you, but it's been my experience, is that I realized that there was this underlying belief that what the other person was saying I couldn't learn from or be value or get value out of. And once you realize that, girl, you don't know everything, and girl, they can have some wisdom for you, some nuggets for you if you would just zip it, Evelyn. It's my pleasure to be quiet. So that has helped me a lot, because it was more so like, oh, I need to tell them this and I need to share this and let them know this, and it's like, girl, you could actually receive some things here. um Rashida says, I have the same problem, talking fast, cutting people off and whatnot. I am consciously working on it. So figure out what your thing is. I know when I'm on the phone, girl, I will put myself on mute to listen. Or my thing is that, listen, I'm listening, but it keeps me, that whatever that impulse is for me to talk, I satisfied it with a really, girl, yes. Patricia is like the epitome of a great listener. Like, I'm trying to learn um, from her. So SJ has a question for us. It says, I have a question about having others respecting and valuing your time. Friends and family often are late on me or don't even notify me if they're running late and make excuses like black people time, etc. Ooh, let me tell you. So I'm gonna let you go first. I got thoughts, but I also have questions.
Here's the thing. Um, so who asked that? SJ, you have touched on a pet peeve of mine. That is for sure. I'm not saying that I'm some sort of drill sergeant, but don't disrespect me by showing up an hour or 2 or 3. I literally take it as disrespect. The first question I would ask you is, do you respect your time? Do you respect your time? Because if you respect your time, other people will respect your time. What does that look like? Okay. What is your grace period? If your grace period is 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you're gone after that. No hate, no malice, no bad words, no argument, no anything. Oh girl, it was 20 minutes, so I thought you weren't showing up. So I left. Better believe that people will start showing up on time. And if they don't, that's okay, because you have to set the standard for yourself. You have to decide what is okay for you, and what you're teaching your family members and friends right now is it's okay to show up an hour late when I told you we were going to meet at a certain time. Let me tell you something. For me personally, I take time very, very seriously. I married someone that is a lot more relaxed about time, so we definitely had to work on that, and understanding that my time, and he actually wasn't like that with me. It's for like appointments, and when I tell you, I literally get anxiety if I'm like walking into a minute to like a doctor's appointment or to anywhere that I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
um but I had to set the standard for him. Like, this is the way that I operate in my own life. And so if you're not ready, I'm gonna go. And you got a car, so I'll meet you there. And so he doesn't like that truth be told. He likes for us to go together to places. I'm like, you want to go together to places, then you have to be ready. You have to be ready. And so I respect my own time, and I respect other people's time, and that's how I live my life. And so he's been able to scoot in times where he's like, I don't care to be on time. Like, all right, I'll see you. I'll see you when I see you. I'll see you later. And it doesn't have to be an argument. It doesn't have to be anything. But you set your own standard, and you set your own boundary, and people will follow suit. Respect your own time, and they will respect your time.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Listen, I was gonna ask the same question. Like, do you respect your own time? Are you running late a lot? For stuff for yourself, right? Are you rushing out the door, right? Because you have to know what you're requiring of people, to be able to hold them accountable to that. So if you know, like, oh, in order for me to be on time, I'm gonna have to cut this activity that I'm doing 20 minutes early, and I'm willing to do that, then you know what you're asking people to do to be on time. And like Patricia said, is you just start leaving folks. Let me tell you, I have a hard and fast rule with my clients. Let me tell you, when I do my coaching calls, they have 10 minutes. And here's the thing, but they lose. So let me just give you an example. This is in business, but this is in life, and this relates to what Patricia said. If I have an hour coaching call with my clients, if they're 10 minutes late, they have 50 minutes in their session. They don't get an extra 10 minutes. They have 50 minutes. And if they don't show up within 10 minutes, they forfeit the session. No, they don't get to reschedule. They forfeit, right? Because it's my time. You know what I'm saying? And so they show up early. Okay. What's the phrase? If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you late, you get left. I mean, listen, I learned that in college. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you early, then you're on time. But if you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, you get left. And I think that when you start letting people know, like, not in a vicious way, like, I'm not forcing you to be on time. I'm just telling you what I'm going to do. And then when it comes to cancellations, let me tell you, I had a friend like, when I first moved to Dallas, and we would have plans to go out. I would get dressed, face be beat or whatever, and she would call me, like, as I'm walking out the door, to be like, oh girl, I decided to do XYZ. And I eventually, after about 2 or 3 times, I finally told her, I said, oh no, not this time. I said, if you need to cancel on me, I was like, you need to let me know in advance, because I done already got dressed, I done already rearranged my schedule, I done already said no to other things. And so you're going to have to call your family on the carpet, particularly like on the cancellation thing, like set the boundaries with them about the time thing and leave them. Or be like, I did something else because y'all didn't show up or whatever. And then on the cancellation thing, just tell them, absolutely not. It's like, if you keep canceling me, then we're not going to do whatever it is that they be doing, right? So, and then people will either know, get with it or get gone. And it's not a mean thing. It's just like, this is the most valuable, non-renewable resource that I have left. You can make more money. You can get another outfit. You can get other things. What you cannot get back is time. And so I am ferocious about my time. I'm not perfect, but I be like, listen, people are like, oh, can I call you right now? No, you can schedule an appointment. Like, it's my time. It's limited. As we have seen, if 2020 ain't showed us nothing else. So, like Patricia said, if you don't hold them accountable, if you don't address it, and if you don't set boundaries, then you have communicated to them that just like they waste their time, they can waste your time.
Yep.
What you do with your time is your business. What we're not going to do is waste my time. So, y'all, let me tell you, when Patricia and I first, because I know my friend, when we first started live streaming, I'd be hustling. Okay, I'd be like, I'm going to be on time because Patricia like to be on time. Okay, because I know my friend, and because I value her time, but then I also value my time. I'm not always perfect. I was late today, but I let her know, give me 5 minutes, I'm running late. And that's the other thing. It's like, sometimes things happen. Just communicate. Tell them, just communicate. So, what did G Angel says? This search for quick results is causing a lot of stress. I was saying that I'm no longer part of the lifestyle. Girl, Let me tell you the phrase that snatched me one day in my prayer time. For those of y'all that are prayers and believers, I felt like God was saying, I don't know if it was God, but this is the thought that came to my head. You spend so much time in discomfort trying to avoid discomfort.
Mm.
I'm gonna say that one more time for the people in the back. You spend so much time in discomfort trying to avoid discomfort. I'm just gonna. Patricia, thoughts? Do you have anything you want to say?
I think that says it all.
Girl. She loves life said that's 100 100. Create your own economy, because not everybody is struggling during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's true.
I'm just saying, okay. So Japirius says, yes, Patricia, I've been thinking the same thing. It's a privilege to be able to do so, but great point. Y'all be forgetting. If you remember. Okay. So who else? Girl, the comments is popping today. I love it. So Kay Sherelle is here. Hey, hey. She said just popping in to say hi. Y'all look beautiful per usual. You're so sweet.
Thank you.
Thank you. SJ says she liked that idea. Grace periods. Yeah, Patricia, that was a great idea.
Because things happen, and like Evelyn said, listen, we are way past the yeah, we on our way, but we really haven't left thing. Like, no, you can't. Things do happen. The baby decided to poop the diaper right before you left, and you had to. It was a huge blowout. You had to change. Things happen. I get that,
Right.
but communicate that. Like, hey, we got caught in traffic. We're literally on I-95. GPS says about 15 minutes. I'll be there. One thing that people do for me, which now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if it's because they're great communicators or they know how I am, but whatever, is they'll send me like a pin where they are on like through Google Maps so I can track how far they are. Is that too much? It probably is too much. But so I can track where they are, on the map or whatever, so I can see, oh, there's traffic here, or oh, there's like a jam, or whatever. And that's someone that's respecting your time and allowing, grace periods. And like I'm gonna give everybody 15 minutes, no matter if they call me or not.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it's a phone call. If no phone call, I'll see you later. I'll see you another time, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's also the suffering between, was this a one-off thing and not typically this person's MO?
Yeah.
Or are they habitually like this? Like, it's one thing if somebody, they're running super late and they didn't communicate with them, but that's never their case. They're always on time. They're always this. And then, something crazy off the charts happen. Or is this like how they get down all the time? Like, this is just how they operate. They just late. You know what I'm saying? So, listen, and here's the thing, that's a habit to cultivate, is being on time. I used to be
Yeah.
late all the time. And then I got tired. I was like, as a grown woman, as a queen, queens don't rush around, right? And be all, and then you get to where you're going and you're all discombobulated because you've been rushing. It's just not a good look. Your energy is off. You're perspiring. You did all this work to beat your face, and now you got a little bead of sweat because you can't manage your time well. And I just remember when I was like, I'm just going to be on time. And so what that means is I need to be realistic about how long it takes me to get ready. I need to be
Yeah.
realistic about, I need a buffer. You know what I'm saying? If you know that you live in the direction of traffic and you're going somewhere at 6:30, then it may normally take you 30 minutes. You need to give yourself a 50-minute buffer to get there, because you just gotta. But it's that being intentional and being thoughtful and denying yourself whatever you're doing that normally makes you late. You have to deny that thing to be on time, right? So it goes back to self-denial, because I read an article once that was saying that people who are not late because they're rude. They're late because they're trying to pack so much in, and they're usually doing something. The solution to that is not, hey, just don't be late. It's like, hey, you're going to have to stop doing whatever that is that you're trying to fit in,
Mm-hmm.
and make it a less of a priority, than being on time and make being on time a higher priority. Um, on the topic of time being precious, how do you deal with toxic family if you much rather not spend your valuable time with them, but you feel compelled to, or is it expected you do due to family dynamics? Oh, SJ with the questions. This one's tricky. Because I don't feel I don't feel that there's like an absolute answer. Like yes, you make time, and no, you don't. Because a there's so many factors here. Are they toxic in their own bubble, or is it making you toxic? What family member is it? How close are you to them? Can you be around them and like minimize the toxicity? Like I mean, like some people are toxic if you bring up certain topics, right? So is this a family member where you got to keep it on a small talk? Like there's so many factors here. um and here's the thing, some people have a real strong heart for family, some people do not. And that also plays a role. So I have certain parts of my family I will say that are much closer, and certain parts of my family that aren't as close, um, because of how we feel about family. And so, because of how we feel about family, we try not to bring toxicity in that, because relationships are relationships. And so it's like I can love you all day, but if you're toxic, like I'm not gonna keep going into a house that has asbestos just because I like the house. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, I'm probably not the best person to speak on this because my family is an interesting dynamic, but I just don't think that it's the answer is black and white. I'm Patricia. You're probably better at this than me. Can you? And I'm gonna
No,
get something out.
I actually totally agree. I feel like there are a lot of factors that there are a lot of pieces to the puzzle that I would need before I could give like definitive answer. I do feel like who the family member is matters. If it's like a fifth cousin once removed, um, I would treat that differently than I would treat a parent or a sibling. Um, if toxic is a very general term, what does that toxicity look like? Does that mean they're making bad choices for themselves and it only affects themselves, or are they bringing that over to you as well, and that's affecting you as well? What is the dynamic of the relationship? What is the history of the relationship? Because just because this person might be close to you relationally, what type of relationship have you always had with this person? Is this person estranged, but they may be a parent, right? So I think yeah, there's a lot more that I would have to know. So she says immediate family. So yeah, immediate family. I'm assuming that you feel the need to maintain some sort of relationship with them, right? You feel compelled to. Um, so, I mean, the best thing that I would say is to make sure the time is limited and controlled. And you always have a way out if you need to, you know? So if it's like, hey, I'm going to meet you at this restaurant. I have something to do right afterwards. So maybe you can eat from like 4 to 6, and literally at 6:30, I have somewhere to be. So that way you have your own car. Nobody's picking you up. You're meeting the person there. You're having dinner, and then it's 2 hours, and then you're gone. Like that's really what I would say. I would avoid, um, places where or outings where they're in control of the environment and the time. If it's one thing where sometimes you have family things where it's just best if you show your face and leave, just like, hey, that day is really bad for me, I have work, or hey, that day is really bad for me, I have a lot of things going on, but I really want to stop by and say hey to everybody. Actually, I have a gift to bring to y'all. Come bring the gift, hey so and so, how y'all doing? Okay, I gotta go. And just and just go. Keep it pushing. Keep it pushing. So, if this person's immediate family and they're toxic to you, but you feel compelled to maintain the relationship in some way, either to show respect or just because of the how close they are to you, at least relationally, then that's how I would
Mhm.
suggest you do.
And I would also say a lot of times what people think is toxicity, and I don't like Patricia said, we don't know, and that's very subjective. Sometimes what we think is toxicity is just a lack of boundaries on your part, right? So, are there certain boundaries that are in place just from how of what you will accept and what you won't accept, right? And knowing that I can't control what you do in your own house and with your own self or whatever, but over here or with me, this is the boundary, right? So I'll give an example. I used to have a mentor who had a really, 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 really bad relationship with her mother-in-law, like bad, like so bad that she wrote a book about it, and it made her like six figures. This is how, like this is how bad it was. And she told the story, made the mother-in-law rest in peace now because the mother-in-law has passed away. But she told the story that the relationship got so bad that um that the mother-in-law wasn't invited to the house for the holidays, and it wasn't her choice, right? Like it wasn't the wife's choice. Like that whole side of the family. So her husband and his siblings were like, "We love you, however, you be wilding during the holidays and in front of the kids, and so we will bring the kids to come visit you during the holidays. We'll each come maybe for like an hour or so, whatever. We're not going to keep you from the kids, but like family meals until you can get this under control, we over here now." I'm not telling you to do that. I'm telling you that's a level of they had to get together and set some hard boundaries because that person was out of control. They didn't eliminate obviously his mother out of the life or out of the lives of the kids, but it was very monitored, it was very crispy and tight, and it was what it was. And here's the thing, a lot of people don't like boundaries. A lot of people, the receiver of boundaries, they don't like it. It does not matter. It's the boundaries are never for them, the boundaries are for you, right? So you put in the boundary, here's the barricade. You can't bring the toxicity over here. I'm not telling you can't be toxic. You grown, right? But what I'm telling you is this is the limit of exposure to the toxicity. Um, and either people will get it together or they won't. And so she was like, "What's the safest way to cut the cord without the with a relationship without hurting someone?" Here's the question itself gives you the answer. You're talking about cutting. When do we cut anything and there's not pain? This is more about motive, okay? If I'm trying to distance myself from you and my intent is not to hurt you and do it in the most delicate way, but it's going to hurt you anyway, that part is just life. Now, if you're like, I'm about to do it in a way and I'm going to say that thing that I know I shouldn't say and I'm going to hurt them because they hurt me, that's toxic, right? I think, you know, relationships can be uncomfortable. And again, while I think it's honorable that you're like, how do I cut the cord without hurting somebody? Um, it doesn't have to be dramatic, but that doesn't mean it's going to necessarily be painless. And if you are talking about a toxic person, I can almost guarantee you it's not going to be without some difficulty by the sheer fact that they're toxic. Patricia, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, expect there to be pain. Expect it to be awkward. Expect for it to be uncomfortable. Expect all of those things. Don't resist it. Expect it. The more you try to avoid it, the more uncomfortable you make yourself, and the more you compromise yourself. Just be genuine, open, and honest and direct. And after that, sprinkle a little time, and it'll be okay. It'll be okay. That person will be okay. That person will move on without you. Just like, a lot of us get super attached to jobs, even if the job has a toxic work environment, all this, because they need me and I'm the only one that can bring this particular skill set. And, what will life be like without me? Let me tell you something. They will move on within a few weeks. There'll be somebody else sitting in that chair for an interview for your position. And a few months after that, there'll be a new person in that position. Let me tell you, life will go on at the job. And for people also, life will go on. That's not to say not to be like heartless, but I think a lot of us who have like caring hearts and who are, sort of empathetic people and we care about people and stuff like that, we can sort of hold ourselves prisoners in that way because we're so overly invested in other people's emotions, and where it's this form of control a little bit too, in controlling how other people feel. But the truth of the matter is, you can't protect everyone, and you can't protect people even from you sometimes, right? And so, yes, be kind. Yes, be thoughtful. Yes, be caring. Yes, be gentle but direct with your words. But it's still gonna hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It's still gonna hurt, and expect that, and don't let that idea of them possibly hurting stop you from setting a boundary that you need to set.
And I would add to that as someone who I lean more truth than grace, but you definitely need both. That and if I had to guess, Caribbean Curls, you might lean a little on the side of grace. Um, is that you do want to be graceful, but don't be so soft that you dilute what you're trying to say,
Hmm.
and that it's not 100% honest, right? Um, so it's like honesty without love is like surgery without anesthesia, right? So you want to be honest, but you gotta make the incision, right? On the flip side, you don't want to be so honest. I mean, you don't want to be so loving that they miss the whole point of what you were trying to say. And I want to piggyback this on what Patricia said when it comes to like jobs, even though I know we're talking about family here. Let me tell you, y'all know I got stories. I got two stories on how do not get caught up in the hype. And we did a whole 2-part series on corporate America, but we didn't talk about this. Do not get caught up in the hype like these companies are loyal. I'm gonna tell you, I was working for a job once, and we were a 24-hour, 7 day a week operation, right? And we used to have these audits, and so people would come in, 4, 6, 8 hours before their regular work day, stay 4, 6, 8 hours afterwards. Like, it was ridiculous. And one of the ladies who worked in HR for this company, I think she had been there 17 hours trying to help with this audit, fell asleep on the way home, got into an accident, and ended up losing her arm. And she was a wife, or is a wife, a mother, has 3 kids. And had to get her arm amputated because she fell asleep at the wheel. And here's the thing: did we stop running production? Did they take a moment of pause? They kept going, and a year later, when she came back with one arm. And I remember I had a manager tell me, like, because I was getting ready to leave, and I remember him being like, well, you need to stay, and if you don't stay, I'm going to remember this on your performance evaluation. And I was like, so you want me to lose an arm like such and such did over an audit? You know what I mean? Like, and so I worked for another company where I came in behind, after an employee, a manager there, had passed away at a company function. The company had an open bar at the function. This person had too much to drink, went to a bar, had too much to drink, ended up hitting a tree, passing away. A wife with a 6-year-old son. Did that store open up and bring them cash registers the next day? Yes, they did. In 90 days, they had somebody in her position. Now, they gave her a cute little bench, but she is no longer on planet Earth.
Mm.
Them jobs ain't worth it. Okay, let's get to these questions. So Caribbean Girl says, we've rekindled a friendship that we had in school days, but recently I've heard they've gossiped about me. So I'm just thinking perhaps it's best we go our special ways, it's especially as naturally we all change, so won't be the same people we were at school. I mean, here's the thing. There's a lot I see here. If you've heard that they gossiped about you, then the person who told you that is gossiping about that conversation. So that's is a couple of things there. And also, I will say this when it comes to relationship. I think a lot of times we're looking for the ticket to cut people off. And sometimes that it is appropriate to close a relationship. This sounds like y'all need to have a conversation before there's a conclusion because you're hearing third party. And as adults, go have a conversation with this person and say, hey, you know, I'm kind of glad that we're real connected, but some things have come my way that are concerning. And you know what? I want to just check with you first because I don't want to, hear say whatever. I just want to check in and see. I mean, and you can do it in a non-accusatory way, but I think we have to learn that you have to do the due process of relationships. And then if you get to the conclusion where it's like, you know what, this isn't a fit, then do that. But I think sometimes like this just sounds like somebody is running between the two of y'all. Because how was that if this is true, if this is true, then that friend from high school is having a conversation with somebody else who claims to be your friend who was sitting there and listening and participating. And then they came and run told you what was their motivation. So you got two conversations to have. You got a conversation with the friend, and then you got a conversation with the friend who's running and telling it. Like so this to me may not necessarily be a relationship, and there is we need to set some healthy boundaries. And I need to understand what's going on here, and you need to address the friend who's running the mouth back and forth. Patricia, what are your thoughts?
No, I mean, I agree with everything. I agree with everything that you said. And she also asked here, is she thinking that it might be best to ignore? Would it be best to ignore it essentially, or to address it? And my thing is address it. Address it. I really was um, a part of the cutoff crew. I am no longer that girl. I will at least give you the courtesy of a conversation. Maybe I'm not understanding what the content of that conversation was specifically. What were they discussing in particular? And did they have any ill will toward me? And letting them know that I just don't appreciate it, you know? And so giving them the opportunity to change or to adjust. And then if they don't, then you can keep it moving. If you feel like it's worth it, if you feel like this relationship or preserving this relationship is worth it.
And I would even say, even if you don't feel like it's worth it, this is the perfect time to start exercising that muscle of holding people accountable. So,
Yeah.
It's having a conversation like, hey, so let's just start, if it's true, just say, hey, listen, you know, that really doesn't make me feel good. The way I operate in my friendships is, we really don't do, talking behind the back. We don't do that. If we have a grievance or something like that, I expect that you would bring that conversation to me. Like you set the standard so people can come up. Because sometimes this is all people have learned how to function, and they've never had somebody say, hey, we can still be friends, but you're not gonna be able to do that. Right?
Hmm.
Um, I can't control your thoughts, but like if you're gonna be my friend, then we need to do this. I had a friend once in my early 20s who liked to greet women with the B word, right? Like A B, and so not how I get down. And I told her, I was like, we cool, but I don't really do the whole calling your friends bees and hoes. Like I don't really do that. So like we can be cool, and what you do over there with them is fine. But if we want to be cool, like hey, I was like, hey, that's just not really my thing. She got with the program, right? So it wasn't like, oh, she's this horrible person. That's what you do over there, not over here. So, um, Rashida says, I had to set boundaries with a family member. They hated it, but life went on and we are cordial. I love her, but I love me more and refuse emotional blackmail and manipulation. Yeah.
Yes, I love it.
Boundaries. SJ says, that's true. I don't think it's okay to ignore things, even if it gives you peace. You need to address things. Y'all, we grown now. So the days of I got a wind of this and so I'm out. Like, don't let social media have you out here 100 years old and alone because you don't know how to hold people accountable in relationships. This notion that people will not misstep say something inappropriate, hurt your feelings, be late, whatever the case may be. And so if they do, then they don't respect you and they're this and that. Social media will have you out here alone. And even if you do get to the point where it's like, okay, but you have to be adult and have the conversation with people. Patricia?
Yeah, it's true. Like I mentioned to you guys, I was part of the cutoff crew, but what I realized, the thing that is the most difficult actually is confronting people, addressing people with love in a very direct way, and giving them the opportunity, giving them grace, and giving them the opportunity to adjust, to shift, to change, and to come up a little bit higher, and giving them that chance. And a lot of times, people rise to the occasion when you set the standard. So that's the harder thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we in 20 now, y'all.
Hmm?
The new day.
Yeah. I don't think you can really have true connection without accountability. I mean, what do you think, Patricia? I just don't know if you can be in an intimate relationship with people and there's not space for them to hold you accountable and for you to hold them accountable. That like
I think
it's like, well, so what happens when there's a rub if we don't have the space to hold somebody accountable or to be held accountable?
I think my relationships where um, we can hold each other accountable are some of my deepest connections. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
say. And so if you will realize that once you cross that bridge on the other side of accountability, you will see the nature and the depth of that relationship change, especially if that process is successful, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will say, I have friends who will snatch me and be like, "No, you were wrong. Ain't no but. Ain't no well they. Ain't no they said. Ain't none of that. 100%. This one is all you, Evelyn." And you just be like, and knowing that they're doing it not because they want to just be like, "Oh, you're trash," because they want me to be better, right?
Hmm.
And like Patricia was giving the example earlier, you got to keep your eyes on your own plate. Well, they did. It don't matter what they did. What did you do? Because you can't control them. You can control you. And so having that space where you can be a receiver, because you can't just want to be a giver of feedback. You got to be a receiver of feedback. Some people that, oh, I can hold people accountable. But can you be held accountable is the question.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. G Angel, I love the comments is going today. Listen, G Angel says how to navigate the conversations about me being single for a long time when all of my friends are a couple. I find it more and more hard to relate to them.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait, we missed one earlier. G Angel, we want to answer this, but somebody asked you, Patricia. Caribbean Curls asked, when is your marriage video coming out?
Ooh, very soon. See, what had happened was I'm editing it. And so, but I think you guys will really enjoy it. I thought, I mean, Evelyn was on there, so she could speak to a little bit of it too. But I think we touched some good topics. And what I would love to do really is to bring at least some of the folks back and do a live panel for you guys. I think that would be even more useful, where we just kind of touch on a few topics, and then you guys get to come back and ask questions. So the answer to the question is it's soon, probably within the next couple of weeks, but it's bigger than I thought it was going to be for me in terms of editing. So your girl's working on it, but hopefully within the next couple of weeks.
I love it. I'm sorry, Patricia. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I didn't want to.
That's okay.
I didn't want
That's
to feel like
okay.
you didn't answer her question. So G Angel says, how to navigate the conversation about me being single for a long time when all of my friends are in a couple. I also find it more and more hard to relate to them. So I think there's two or three things going on in your question. Um, Let me tell you at least the two, maybe three things that I see, and if let us know if you agree, and Patricia can let me know if she agrees. Y'all know sometimes I like to work a question backwards. I also find it more and more hard to relate to them. So I think that's a situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because y'all are in different phases of life, which means your priorities may be different, and the things that are consuming your attention may be different. So we can talk about that. And then the first part of your question is how to navigate the conversation about me being single for a long time when all of my friends are in the couple are a couple. My question to you here would be, are you single by choice or by default? And the reason why is because if you're single by choice, and you can communicate that, that answers their question. If you desire to not be single and you're still single, then I can see why this might be difficult. Um, did I lose Patricia? No, I didn't. Um, so that's the three things that I see before we kind of get into it. Patricia, do you? I know sometimes you see some wonderful things that I sometimes don't see. That I think like so. As you read it, what are you gathering? And then we can get into our response. Uh oh.
I think it's acting out.
Okay, we're back. You're
Are you
back.
good? Okay. So first of all, who asked the question? Let's see. G Angel, I totally understand because for the longest time, I was the single person in a lot of my friend circles. and so on one end, I can definitely relate. But one thing that kind of stuck out to me is when you said it's more and more hard to relate to them. And so to me, I'm reading that more as the issue is more with you and not with them. Sort of not with them excluding you necessarily, but you feeling uncomfortable. And so I think that kind of, again, to the question that Evelyn asked is it on purpose or is it because of circumstance? And when we say on purpose, is it that you do not want to pursue marriage at this time or marriage is not for you, you know? And so you're on purpose being single, or is it a matter of you haven't met the right person yet, or whatever? Because and how settled are you in either circumstance? Because that definitely may be affecting how you relate to them, and how comfortable you feel. How comfortable are you in your singleness? And what's really making you uncomfortable, or to the point where you're unable to relate to these women that are in your lives. Yes, when someone becomes a mother, that is a big life change, and when someone gets married, that is also a big life change. But we're still women. We still care about hair, makeup, maybe what's happening in the media, or our career goals, life goals. There's a lot of other places to relate to people. And so, what is creating that barrier? And is it possible that that barrier is more in you than in them? And if that is true, then I think you should work on your feelings about your singleness and how you see it, and not looking at your friends as mothers and married folk, you know, and seeing them as they were before they got married, if you had that experience, or if you had that experience with them, or before they were mothers, if you had that experience with them. I'm not of the mindset of only hanging out with single folks when you're single, and I'm also not in the mindset of only hanging out with married people when you're married. I'm of the mindset that all your friends should be different ages. Your friends should be different, from different circles, different career backgrounds, different household income levels. social statuses. I feel like your circle should be as broad as you can make it.
Hmm.
I just feel like it makes you more well-rounded that way. And so I'm not going to be of the mindset to be like, oh, get rid of your married friends because you guys are no longer the same. No, I think you should work on your feelings towards your singleness and causing that gap
Hmm.
between
And Patricia, she
between
said,
you.
I don't want to settle, so it's a little bit of both. When I was like, is it by choice or is it by default, so to speak? Um,
Mhm.
so I will say this: I am someone who is the majority of my friends are married right now. Part of that is just my age. Um, and a couple of things came to mind. And I'm sorry, Patricia, were you finished? I'm sorry.
No, no, I was.
Okay.
Hmm.
Um, I have a lot of thoughts about this. I agree with everything Patricia said, particularly about having a mix of friends. And one of the things you're going to see in Patricia's video, almost like a little teaser, is you're going to see people in different stages and their perspectives about similar things, and why sometimes it could be beneficial to have people that are in a different phase or stage of life. Like, y'all will see that in the discussion. But so here's a couple of things. I will say this. One of the things that I challenged my friends to a couple of years ago was we were in this phase where a lot of us were desiring to be married or be in a relationship, and that consumed a lot of our conversation. And my
Mm,
concern was that if this is what we're bonding on, then when this circumstance changes for one of us or all of us, will we have anything left to talk about? And so I remember we kind of went on this challenge, like, you know, what if we just didn't talk about boys for this conversation? Or when we went out to dinner tonight, what if we just didn't talk about relationships? Just to make sure that we weren't, I mean, the new phrase is trauma bonding, but it also could be like desire bonding, like, oh, we're only bonded because we want to talk about this one thing, right? And so I don't know if you had that experience with those friends, and if you did, that might make the transition a little bit different, because now if it's not about dating shenanigans and, ooh, I met this person, then it does leave a void space. But I will also say, to your point about I don't want to settle, so it's a little bit of both. I think that's where the real issue is. I think that there's some discomfort with that. You desire to be married, and I'm going to tread lightly here, and you just haven't figured out why it hasn't happened yet. And so
mm,
the only answer that you have is, well, I don't want to settle, which is fair. But if I had to guess, that's not the whole story, right? I think there is, I think I could be wrong. So let me know if I'm wrong, and I don't want to get too much in your business on the internet streets. But I think that, if all your friends are married, then y'all probably have that same in commonality together, that y'all probably all have that desire, and so it's not a jealousy thing, it's not an envious thing, but it's probably what what is going on that I haven't gotten to this place yet, and they have, and it's not about them versus you, but you know what I'm saying. And so I think what makes it uncomfortable is that when they ask you that, you don't have an answer, because if you had an answer, you'd probably be married. And so I don't know if that's, if I'm like driving up your street, walking down your pew, like if I'm close to being accurate. But I think what happens with a lot of single people with their married friends is, if that single person really desires to be married and life keeps happening, but they're not married, and they can't, quote unquote, figure out why, then being asked about it is like poking at a sore, and that's what makes it uncomfortable. Um,
mm, mm.
so I think, if I could be, maybe this is not for you, maybe this is for somebody else. If that's the case, then I would focus your energy on, what do I need to be doing in my life to move me closer to this desire, um, versus suffocating the desire and saying it's just because I don't want to settle. I think it's fair. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't have the thought that you don't want to settle. I think that's fair. I think there's more to it than that, but I'm not sure. So listen, that's we could do a whole live about being honest about if you want to be married or not as a single person, and that you if you do have a strong desire to be married, that is not a bad thing.
If you who asked that question, G Angel, if you want just like a few more words and stuff, I have a video. I think it's called on my channel. I think it's called "Help My Best Friend Is Married Now." And I did that video when I was single, so you can just get some more perspective on how to navigate your relationships with people that are married. Because I think sometimes we as single people might overthink it or overdo it. And you know, single people. Did I say we? Did I just say we? Girl, so new. Girl, so new.
Off, you're fresh off.
I'm fresh off. Yeah. I know as a single person, I was tempted to overthink it. When I realized these people are still my friends, they still love me, they still value me for the same things that they loved and valued me before. And it doesn't mean that my voice is less important or that they don't, we might need to adjust, how and where we go. But that doesn't mean that this relationship needs to dissolve because of a relationship status change.
Right.
And I've been able to maintain, and I haven't lost any friendships due to other folks getting married or whatever. And even my single friends, I've been able to maintain my relationships with them. So
yeah,
that's sort of what I have to say. Let me see if I can find the link. If I can find the link, I'll drop it in the chat.
She said, "Wow, touche." So okay, so I want to say this, and I'm gonna try not to go off on a tangent here, but I think this might. Oh, bless you. This
Thank you.
Beneficial for other ladies. If you're saying touche about the whole, like, you really desire to be married and it has not happened yet. I'm gonna do a little. It's not a rant, but I'm gonna do a little bit of a long-winded spiel here. I would say I'm gonna give you some practical things. I would say the first thing is get you a notebook, and number one, you're like lean into the fact that you want to be married. I know that there's a lot of rhetoric that tells you, and I'm not sure if you're a believer, G Angel, or not, but I know there's a lot of rhetoric in our culture about catch flights, not feelings. That if you want to be married, then that means that that you're lonely and you hate your life, or that it means that you don't love God, or there's all these false thoughts geared at single people about the desire to be married. So I would say first things first, if you want to be married, be honest about that, right? And take the shame off of that desire. It doesn't make you thirsty. It doesn't make you desperate. It doesn't make you any of that. It makes you a human to desire that level of relationship and companionship and intimacy and partnership, right? Like we were designed to need each other. So I would say the first thing is take off the shame, if this applies, about the desire to be married. I would say the second thing is that um, if you've got one or two married friends where you can have that conversation and say, "Girl, what did you do?" Because I'm over this. I'm ready to, this life is cool, but I've been there, done that. I'm ready to move forward. And you might be surprised that they may have done some internal things or whatever that you didn't even know that they were on, even if y'all are friends, when they decided that they were going to make being in a partnership and a marriage a priority in their life, right? Like, if you have somebody that you can trust with that level of vulnerability, I would say do that. Listen, it could be very helpful. Okay. I would also say, and this is, so I'm taking it out of the context of relating to the friends. I'm talking about just you and your desire to be married, because I think it will make those conversations easier, because if one or two of those friends know where you are feeling emotionally, they probably not gonna ask as much. If anything, they will become your ally and be like, girl, I've been looking for you. You know what I'm saying? um, but I also will say, you know ask if you can handle the feedback. Ask one of your really close friends, why do they think that you might still be single? You might be surprised at the answers you get. Ask yourself, because I do think it's deeper than I don't want to settle. Well, nobody wants to settle, so let's move that to the side. Is there a fear of marriage that you don't know how to do it and you don't know how to do it right, or you're gonna pick the wrong person, or that you think you're not ready and what does that mean, or you think you're not prepared, like, I think there's a lot there. So I think get honest with yourself about, why do you think you're not married if you desire to be married, and then go, if is this really a priority for me? Because if it is, am I maneuvering in my life in such a way that will, if that opportunity comes along, that I'm in a place, where I can prioritize that, right? I mean, yes, I understand we're, still in a pandemic, despite what people may think. But it's like, am I always at the house? Do I never want to meet nobody? Do I never want to do anything uncomfortable? Do I never want to get, like, you know what I'm saying? So I think there's some things that will make that conversation easier, because now if somebody asks you that, you can be like, well, oh, I'm open. If you know somebody, introduce me. In jest, right? So, Patricia, do you have any thoughts about what I just said?
No, yeah. I mean, I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. Um, Especially with the part of, sorry, I got this light on me. Especially with the part of sort of sitting with the idea that you want to be married. I think a lot of us get stuck there where we just kind of like deny the desire and are ashamed about it. And I think that's the word. I think you described it perfectly. It's ashamed. That's really what it is. Ashamed of it. And I remember going to a wedding one time, and it's so funny because I was in a relationship at the time. If I wasn't, maybe things would turn out different. But I was in a relationship at the time, and I went to a wedding, and there was a guy there that I used to go to college with, and he just, when he got himself an upgrade once he left college. I'm just saying, nice looking, well dressed, just looked great, and so I don't remember who asked the question, but it was someone in the friend group, and he goes, and they're like, "Oh, so yeah, so you seeing anybody or you whatever?" He was like, "No, but I want to." Like, listen, it be lonely out here. Like, I'm trying to walk down somebody's aisle, start my family, settle down. You know what I mean? And he was just so, and I guess male, men are different, but I was really impressed by his boldness. He was like, if y'all know anybody, you know what I'm saying, help a brother out. And I was very impressed by his boldness and just sitting in that. And he was confident in knowing that I'm a great person, I'm a great catch, I have a lot going for me, which all of that was true. And so me admitting this doesn't mean that I'm thirsty, I'm insecure, or that I don't think well of myself. But it just means I've reached a point in my life where this is what I want, and I'm letting my friends know. And so yeah, just take the shame away.
Yeah. Nobody shames you when you want a new job. Nobody shames you when you want to get healthy. Nobody shames you when you want to get your finances together. Nobody shames you, but like, a marriage is a beautiful, healthy, natural, honorable thing. So there should be no shame around that. So SJ says, how confident do you have to be in yourself before you get into a relationship, especially
She,
intimacy, if you're not confident in your appearance?
so she asked the question before that
Oh, did
though.
I miss the question? I'm sorry.
Hmm.
Scroll back up. Oh, ooh, girl. Thoughts on keeping up with the Joneses?
Go ahead, Evelyn. Go ahead.
Oh, SJ. Now, I spoke earlier about, when you respond to people, you want to respond in love and in honesty. You've been here before. You know which one of us is stronger. One of those things. I have questions. A, who are the Joneses? Start there. B, thou shalt not covet. But that's for those of us who are believers, okay? C, you don't know what they had to do to get what they got, okay? Let me tell you, my mom is a certified financial planner, and years ago, she was coaching a couple financially who I think collectively made about $600,000 a year. And I can talk about this. She talks about this in her book. And they were living paycheck to paycheck, making 600 grand a year as a couple. Um, like legit, like if they got missed one paycheck, it was about to be a mess. And so, but if you looked at their life from the outside, right, they had this huge home, they had luxury cars, they had a country club membership, they had all of these things, but they were stressed. Their marriage was stressed, they were stressed, right? But on the outside, somebody could have been like, oh, I want what they got, right? Here's the thing. I don't think desires for, let's say, material possessions necessarily is a bad thing within reason. I think it's the well, why do you want what somebody else has? Like if it's like, oh, that's a cute dress, girl, let me go see if I can find that for me on whatever the case may be, because you just think it's a cute dress, that's fine. But if it's like, oh, if I, in order for me to be like this person, then I have to do what they do and have what they have. That's where it gets a little tricky. Like I can look at Patricia and be like, "Girl, when we get off this phone, you know you're gonna tell me what color lipstick that is, right? You know what I'm saying? And you know I'm probably gonna order it, and that's just gonna be what it is. I'm not keeping up with the Joneses. I'm already into makeup, right? But if it's here's the thing about some desires, it's an insatiable appetite and it's a moving target. If the reason behind it is unhealthy,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if it's for like acceptance, I need these things so people will accept me. If it's I need these things to impress people, if it's I need these things because these things make me worthy, that is when you it's a dangerous territory. So in general, keeping up with the Joneses, absolutely not. We don't know what the Joneses do, why they do it, what they got going on behind the scenes. I've seen couples, wife, St. John, big rock, car, this, that, whatever, marriage in shambles. Okay. Now, on the flip side, that does not mean that people who have means all hate their lives. I've seen the opposite of that be true, right? But it's like, be careful what you ask for because you don't know what came with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what comes with that, right? I tell people all the time, my mom has a garden, right? And it's so funny because when she was first like planning and doing all this stuff, she was like, man, it's a lot of work. And now that her garden has started to grow, whatever, she realized that the harvest is actually more work than the planting, right? And so when you see people with they got this size business or this size house and this size car, you don't know what kind of maintenance that takes. If you got a 5,000 square foot house, that's more maintenance than a 2,500 square foot house. That's the bigger tax bill. That's the bigger. I mean, there's so many things. So in general, I mean, not even in general, never keep up with the Joneses. Patricia.
Yeah, never, ever, ever. Matter of fact, never, ever, ever, ever do it. Honestly, I truly believe in living a life of gratitude. And notice that I didn't really say contentment, but gratitude. And I feel like when you feel the pressure to um, keep up with the Joneses, you struggle with feeling grateful for where you are. And honestly, and I'm a believer, so I have to speak this way. If you are not grateful where you are and you're unable to Utilize the resources that you've been given. God will not entrust you with more. I had this conversation just a few days ago with someone who had this sort of envy, longingness for what you can see from over here. Like you're looking into somebody else's yard, you're like, "Ooh, it looked green. The house looked nice," but you can't see the inside. Like Evelyn was saying, you can't see the work, you can't see the relationships, you don't have an inside view. You're looking from the outside, and so I would check yourself in that way. Are you grateful for what you have? It doesn't mean that this is all you ever gonna get.
Right.
All right. It doesn't have to be all you get, but are you grateful for the things you have when you look back and you're like, dang, I have come a mighty long way, and I am so grateful that I'm able to be here. God, I cannot wait for what you have in store for me.
Me.
And it's going to be designed just for
Me.
me. And
Just
so, yeah, they just really turn a blind eye to it. Really turn a blind eye. It's girl. It is a true pet peeve of mine when I see, and I check it every time. When my circle starts doing that, I will check it. Oh, but you don't know what's well, you don't know what's. I have a friend, a couple friend of mine who for the longest time used to compare themselves to another couple friend because, oh, they just got so much going on. Oh, they're just so loving, and oh, they're just so blessed and all this. Well, guess what? Now they're divorced. And they're looking over there like, what happened? What is it? Because you were looking over from your yard into theirs and you couldn't see the inside. And so what happened? What if you were modeling yourself after that person because you were trying to keep up and you would have followed them right down the line of doors? No, no. Keep your eyes in your court, in your yard, in your house. Develop your good habits to get you where you need to go. And then slowly but surely you'll see your life progressing. You're so invested in making yourself a better version or creating a better version of yourself that you ain't got time to be looking over what the Joseph's doing.
I don't know what you're doing.
Yes.
And I mean, I think Patricia, to that point, I think also when you have not, this kind of brings it back to what you and I talk about a lot. When you have not designed your own life or created your own life based on what you like, right? And really gotten to know what you want and what you like and what you desire, then you will have the shiny new object syndrome. Oh, I never thought about, oh, I want that, right? Like, let me tell you, I recently revamped my makeup collection. Patricia knows this. Y'all gonna see a haul. Listen, when I do the haul, I don't want no judgment, okay? Mind y'all business. However, right, I have another friend who I'm done buying makeup right now, right? I got another friend. She's still buying. Okay. She done bought before me. She done bought after me. She done bought some stuff that I was like, girl, I listen, I ain't about to do it right. And it's cute and it would have went my collection, but I had already predetermined what I wanted, right? And so here's the thing. I can still enjoy with her as she shows me, girl, I got this new such and such lipstick, this new such and such bronzer. Cause I bought what I wanted because I had already decided what I wanted. And as she continues by, so she bought all that I had bought and then some, right? And she's still buying. I don't need to feel. I do not have the desire to still buy because she's still buying, right? Because I'm already clear on what I was trying to do, right? And so I think when you design your life, when you create your life, when you're really clear about what you're trying to do, who you're trying to be, where you're trying to go, you can look at something like, oh, that's nice, and keep it moving, right? If you think about, some people are like, oh, they're buying a house. Well, they buying a house because they're either their family is growing, or maybe the property tax went too high, or maybe they got foundation issues. You don't know why they're moving, right? Where somebody else could be like, I could buy a house, but I'm saving for a trip, or I'm saving for. You don't know. And it's so funny because I used to tell my clients this in business. They'd be like, oh, I saw such and such doing that. And I'd be like, but you don't know where they're eventually trying to go, right? So I had a client who does not want to own a restaurant, okay? And she was watching this chef host like all these pop-up dinners and travel all over the country and have these pop-up dinners. And she was like, do you know who the chef is? And I was like, oh yeah, I know who that person is. And they were like, well, maybe I should be doing what they're doing. And I was like, well, that person just opened up 2 restaurants, so that's why they did that. You don't want to open up restaurants. So why, again, don't copy and paste because it don't fit. So no. And SJ said, sorry for the, where did she say that? Sorry for the heavy questions, girl. We do heavy. Um, let's see. Rashida says, my mom is literally a Jones, honey. Don't be like us. um, I actually came across the movie The Joneses, and it was mind blowing. It amazes me the lengths people will go through to keep up with each other. Thou shalt not covet. Listen, I haven't seen the movie, but crazy. Um, I think did we? Oh, we have one more question, and then we have to the question that we were going to address, which was about where did it go? I'm missing the comment. The chat is on fire today. I love it. About intimacy and appearance,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna wrap it up for today. So, how confident do you have to be in yourself before you get into a relationship, especially intimacy, if you're not confident in your appearance? Patricia, I'm gonna go first because I see like 6 things in this question. So I'm gonna let you go first.
Oh, you said you want to let me go first?
Yes.
Okay. Let me scroll back up to this question.
And I also put it on the screen.
How confident do you have to be in yourself before you get into a relationship, especially intimacy, if you're not confident in your appearance? Okay. Okay. So there's several things here.
Yeah.
And it may not be in order, so just kind of work with me. How confident do you have to be? So first of all, the question I would ask is, what are you doing to work on being more confident in yourself? Because it's going to be difficult, I have to say this, to attract a high quality man without some level of confidence, right? I don't want you I don't want you to get stuck on this idea. At the same time, I don't want you to get stuck on this idea of I have to do every single thing before I get into a relationship. But I have to, I also have to admit that it would be really difficult to attract a high quality man without confidence. Everyone has some level of insecurity when it comes to their bodies, and we talked about that on other lives before. And so, Mr. Right will work with you with whatever that is. But what are you actively doing right now to work on the confidence thing? Because above a lot, like people will say, no, it's your credit score. No, it's you have to have property. No, it's because you have to go through 13 steps and 13 singleness conferences before. No, it's not any of those things. If I could narrow it down to just a few things, confidence would be on that list, to make sure that you have invested in that, because it will directly affect what type of man you attract. And so I almost don't. And she said, so how confident? I guess I don't know how to quantify it, to be honest with you. I'm not too sure how to quantify it, but I think if you're asking this question, you may not be there yet. If you're asking this question, you may not be there yet. And so, how do you feel about yourself? What are some modifiable things that you can do? I'm not talking about surgery. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about a good skincare routine. I'm talking about, um, you know, getting into fragrances. I'm talking about how do you present yourself with your clothes and your personal style? Do you have a sense of personal style? How are you eating? What's your exercise or activity level like? What are some modifiable things that you can do? And not just to modify your external, because if we haven't said it already, there's something about actively working towards a goal that helps to build confidence. And the little wins that you see will be like a little investment in your confidence bowl. And so, what are those things that you're doing that you can modify that help to improve your appearance and therefore improve how you feel about yourself? Um, and what are you in therapy? Are you seeing someone that can help sort of find where those root causes, like start? Where did this start, and how can we attack that and see that as something separate and outside of you, so that you can work on building up your confidence and um, seeing yourself for the awesome person that you are. Are you reciting daily affirmations? What is your spiritual practice like? What are those things that you're actively doing? That's what I'm trying to get at. That's investing in yourself and that's helping to build your confidence. Because ultimately, girl, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard out there on those streets to attract a high quality woman without confidence, or high quality man without confidence.
Listen, I amen it, I second it, I exclamation point everything that Patricia just said. Let me tell you a quote that somebody told me a long time ago and I never forgot it. They was like, you date on the level of your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
You earn money on the level of your confidence. Okay, so like Patricia said, like, I mean, confidence is probably the word that stands out here. I mean, I think the phrase would be, are you cultivating your beauty? I will tell you, you could be quote unquote the prettiest woman in the world, and if you haven't cultivated it and enjoyed your own beauty for yourself, you won't feel confident in it, right? And so it's like saying, like, what am I wearing when I feel like I look my best? Does my wardrobe really reflect me? What's my signature makeup look? Right? I know I don't want to look like a drag queen off of Instagram with Instagram brows, but what do I want to look like? Am I into a soft neutral look? Am I not into it? It was like, what does my hair look like when I feel the most confident? Not what do I think somebody else would like. What do I like? What makes me feel good? Who told me something other than that I was beautiful? When did I get that message? Why is that untrue? Why is that a lie? Why is it false? Right? Because it's false. Right? Where did I get that messaging? And I will tell you, and I'm gonna go a little bit deeper with you, SJ. And because I've never seen a picture of you, so I have no idea what you look like. But I will tell you this: growing up as a dark skinned girl, I was teased bad. Like, I'm pretty sure this is a story that's been told by several darker skinned women, right? And I remember thinking for a while, like, I don't understand why people are so upset that my skin is so dark. That's how it started. But then it turned into, like, is this a bad thing? And I went through an issue where I was like, man, like, people are really, like, disliking the fact that my skin is so dark. And as a kid, you don't realize that that's that issue, their issue, not your issue, right? Like, I don't know why you're so upset that my skin is so pigmented, right? But one of the things I had to do in my late teens, early 20s to really work through that about my appearance is I had to get rid of anything in my peripheral view that sent me the message that the way I looked was unattractive. And even as I got older, and social media came into the play, anybody that was into jokes about light skin versus dark skin, or maybe you're a beautiful plus size woman and people make jokes about that, anything that was derogatory towards the way I was naturally designed by God, I got it out of my sphere, right? And I started surrounding myself with images and conversations about, like, this is bomb. And I remember being like, listen, I'm a little chocolate drop, okay? I'm thick and I'm not that tall. I mean, y'all only ever see a neck and a head, okay? But I'm thick, I'm not that tall, and I'm chocolatey. Whoever likes thick chocolate drops, I'm they cup of tea. Listen, they gonna be like, "Oh, I've been looking for you." Feel me? Um, if you don't like chocolate and you like almond milk, that don't mean that I'm less delicious. You just don't like chocolate. You're bad that you don't like chocolate. I mean, I'm not offended if you don't like chocolate, right? And I'm using this as an example. And I have a new client right now that I'm working with her exclusively to work on the confidence, because you have to cultivate multiple areas in your life. Like, it's not just the outside; it's the inside. What do I think of myself? Well, I think that God don't make no mistakes. I think that God has made so many beautiful things on this earth. Why would I be the exception? I think that I'm an impeccable work of art. And here's the thing: everybody don't like all pieces of art. That doesn't mean that this art is less attractive or less valuable, right? So,
Mhm.
to Patricia's point, I think where you want to spend your energy is on the confidence before the relationship, because you will attract somebody that will agree with you, good or not so good. So you think you all that and then some, you will attract somebody who thinks you all that and then some. But if you think that you're not all that, you will attract somebody who will agree with you. Okay? And who will consequently treat you in alignment with their agreement. So if you think you all that, then you will attract somebody who thinks you all that, and he will treat you like you're all that. But if you don't think that you're all that, you will attract somebody who thinks that same and who will treat you that way, right? So I think that's what I got. So it's almost like I'm not saying you have to be perfect to be ready for a relationship, and that you don't have to feel like, I don't, I still have this one thing or two things that I like about myself. That's unrealistic. And listen, those things will change with time, okay? Right? Um, but you should have a general, a healthy view of yourself, so that you can enjoy you. Because then, you even if somebody comes along who sees more than you see, you will argue them down because you can't see what they see. So that's that. She said, you both summed it up for me. Thank you, and I appreciate the insight. Awesome. This was good, y'all. Like, the comments was popping today.
Yes, yes.
Yes. I mean, we went from habits to confidence to setting boundaries with family members. Y'all know we be solving world peace and ending childhood hunger over here. So, I don't think we have any more questions. I know that I have another appointment at 5:30. Listen, y'all, life is good, but it's busy. Um, I don't know what we should talk about next time, Patricia. Let me tell you, I actually do know what I want to talk about, but I just don't know if I want to talk about it on the interwebs. We have to talk about it offline. But it came up today.
Okay.
Y'all send us a message on Instagram, whatever you have questions or whatever. But we're gonna be back. I think next week we're on your channel, right?
Yes.
Yes. So if you're on my channel and you have not subscribed to Patricia's channel on YouTube, aka Guys Design, her link is in the description of this video, and she also put her information in the chat. And this video will be in a playlist with all of the previous ones, both from her channel and my channel. So if you've missed any of them, or if you want to go back and watch, you want to get you some popcorn, have your girls' night, you can do that. Um, Rashida said this is Sister Girl Church. I love it. Patricia, you want to say anything before we wrap up today?
Look, this has been great. Like you said, from healthy habits to confidence to dealing with toxic family members, and we've we've touched a lot today. We touched a lot today, so it's been another good one.
A good one. All right, ladies. Well, we will see you next week on Patricia's channel. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.